If you can hear me, let me know. That would be good. It's good to see everyone in the space. Peace and welcome to our midday motivation. Just leave a one, two, three in the chat, something. Just let me know that you're in the chat and you can hear me. And you can see me too, because yeah, I see a group of our sovereigns here. So I'm just gonna welcome those of you who I see. Let me see. I see Chief Yuya, welcome. Give thanks. Give thanks for being things. I wish you are strong, you're moving, and everything is in order. Greetings, Sister Kashia. Peace and welcome. Thank you for being in the space. Thank you for sharing this sovereign space with us. So today I thought we will jump into the topic of, you can hear me with me, all right, good. We would jump into the topic of breathing, right? The breath and breathing. And I think it fits. It fits because first of all, this whole strong has been respiratory care awareness week or strong. And I really didn't post anything about it, but I kept thinking about, like what is one of the ultimate things that I could share or support you all with in terms of just thinking about how to support ourselves, right? Many of us um, do not have the opportunity of living in a topic where, respiratory issues and lung issues may not necessarily be an issue when treatment changes. But for those of us who are experiencing that seasonal change right now, I think it's really important to kind of, like jump into the different ways that we can support our bodies, right? And get ourselves prepared to, just breathe deeply, right? And as I kept thinking about breath, I was thinking about how, like breath animates the clay that we are. We are clay beings that are animated by breath, right? Or have been animated by breath. So breath is so important. And when you think about breathing, any one of us here could just pause and think about breathing. It's rhythmic, right? It's rhythmic. And there is this exchange that happens when we breathe, right? And that exchange, though there's a chemical piece to it, there's this beautiful pattern that we can identify. And so, breathing, I think, like all animals, of course, we all have that in common. But there's a breathing that I feel like all things do, right? All things that are animated breathe in some way, shape, or form. If you think about it, they have a rhythm to them, right? And from the flapping of the wings of a bird, right, to the suckling of a baby, um, to the movement of the ripples across um, a body of water, right? Waves, lapping and being to shore. All of these things are symbolic of breath and breathing. And, like breathing gives creation animation, right? um, and when I think about breathing, I think of the idea of movement, right? This constant rhythm and flow, pulsating kind of energy. Um, and so when we struggle during certain seasonal changes, when we struggle with this idea of breathing or breath, right? I think for some it becomes um, it puts them in a space where you can get a lot of anxiety from it. I mean, and even now, you hear a lot of people talking about whatever virus it is, right? That seems to be the big focus right now, and that kind of takes away the ability to breathe, like breathe deeply. And you have to question how much of your life force is being drained when you can't breathe deeply. All right, I think that those are some ways to look at it. But there's so many other things that we can be proactive about when it comes to supporting our immune systems, which is where most of it begins, and supporting our bodies so that we can breathe easily. All right. I'm going to just jump into the chat. I see a group of other um, sovereigns joining us. Greetings, Melissa Gabriel. Peace and welcome. Chief Leader says, I figured I'd give you something to share with the fam. Oh, all right. Conversation. I love it. Everybody's talking and sharing. I give thanks for those who are here. Sister Deidre, Saeed, MPH. Pick up yourself. Brother Antonio, shalom. Shalom to you as well. All right. So, yeah, jumping right back into it. I wanted to share a quick Taoist piece, right? Because as I thought about um, breath of life animates the clay of our beings, right? Our beings, right? I thought of the Tao. And so there's one Taoist statement that kept going over and over in my head. It goes, the Tao is the breath that never dies. It is mother to all creation. The Tao the breath that never dies, right? So there is a constant recycling and a constant movement. It's like a rhythm and a pattern, and it never ends. But we also notice it's a thread throughout all of creation, right? And as I shared before, all of the rhythmic things that we can observe in our environment, in nature, in something as simple as again, baby suckling. It's like it's there. So, but you're probably saying, well, how does that connect to breath and breathing? It does because you realize that there's a deep value in everything that we do, right? And that breathing that we see happening happens across the surface area of our lungs. And we take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. This is constant rhythmic pattern, flowing of breath, regardless of what is contained in the breath, there's constantly that movement of breath. So breathe deeply. And the other thing I realize about breath, right, as I'm talking and I'm observing myself, um, and the short or long breaths that I take, I realize that breath is a good indicator of when our feelings and our states of emotion start to shift, right? Um, because when you think about breath, sometimes you have the long, meditative, peaceful, protracted breath, if you go into meditation, or maybe they're the harsh, short, forceful breaths of movement meditation, right? When you exercise. So why is that important? Why am I saying all of that? If our breath is compromised because our immune system fails, then we really have to think about how much are we being animated, right? Because sometimes breath is synonymous with soul too. So how much are we being animated by the breath? How much are we losing when we struggle to breathe, or we have issues, or we have mucus build up so much that we can't, that exchange of vital breath and wind can't go across the lungs, right? That would be a tragedy. That would be a problem. So I thought it good today to kind of explore some of the herbs that we could use, right? And again, paying attention to what we have at home is really helpful. We have a ton of easy, simple herbs and plants and food medicine that can support us, right? The one thing that's important is not to wait until it's too late. Don't wait until someone has an issue in the home, or there's mucus buildup, or you hear the dry cough and now you're like scrambling, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that you have all of the items that you need. So there are three things that you really want to look through your cabinet for and make sure you have those items. You want to you're looking for things that are demulcent, you're looking for things that are aromatic, and you're looking for, anything that would be an expectorant. And I've shared some of this with you before. Herbs kind of fall into, right, when we're talking about herbs for the lungs and the respiratory system, loving up on the breathing mechanism, we go along. Um, it's really important to think about those three. And I'll share why. All right, let me jump into the chat. Top tier speakers, shalom to you. Welcome, 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 welcome. And everybody's greeting each other, which is good. So, well, with the emulsions are slimy, right? They create mucilage, and when they do that, whether you soak them in warm water or cool water, and the beauty of the slippery mucilage that these particular herbs create is that they help to soothe any kind of dry cough, right? So I'm going to start from there, and then I'm going to work my way back to um, immune system building. And then toward the end, I have an awesome theme that I'm going to share with you all that you can utilize. Make sure to prepare all the herbs, put them in a bag, and keep them and store them because, if something goes down, you have it ready, right? So the herbs that create that thickness there are a lot of them right off the top of my head. And I won't say it, I'll leave you all to say it. This particular one is a very popular right now. Everybody's on it, everybody's making gel from it. And the most important thing is that it gels very quickly, it becomes very thick, and it is, highly nutritious, right? But it can be used because to aid or to support coughing, dry coughing, or respiratory because of how soothing it is and how thick it can become. All right, so you want to look for again herbs that fall into that category. Some of them include sea moss, which I thought you all would probably think of, right? Marshmallow is another one. And if you've never heard of marshmallow, um, you don't have to run out and purchase marshmallow, right? Because again, I'm pretty sure, depending on where you are, you probably have CMOS right at your fingertips. Use what you have, right? Jump right into the things that are there. I have marshmallow, right? So that's never something that I'm running to try and find. But marshmallow is very, very helpful. And if you soak it in warm water or cold water, it's one or the other, it tends to become very thick very quickly. I have, and it can be used for digestion too. I have just a little bit, so I'll show you. I'll open up my packet here and show you a little bit of what I have. Ignore all the wrinkling of the paper. I don't know if you all could see it, but I'm going to try and share some of it with you, right? And marshmallow can be the roots as well as the leaf. Don't laugh at me. Uh, it's interesting. It doesn't have a smell, right? That's another thing. Remember, I gave you the three. You can tell me what the three herbs and food medicines that we're looking at today. There's three categories. I called them at the beginning. Let me see if you can read this. I love it, y'all. But marshmallow, you can't really smell it. There isn't a strong smell, and that's because it does not fall into the category of food medicines that we're talking about today. That second category that I shared. I'm just gonna wait and see if it's gonna pop in the chat and share it with me. I don't Google it. I see you. I see you. So the thing about the emulsions is that they help to they help to they create thickness. So if you have like a dry cough, they create that thick soothing sort of mucilage that helps to coat the throat. It helps to coat the inside as well, so you don't feel so irritated, right? But it also helps to liquefy mucus. So the good thing about it is it will also if you have very thick mucus that can't move, then um, it will be very helpful because not only does it add moisture and soothe the throat or any of the dried respiratory passageways, it helps to it's going to help to break up or liquefy some of the mucus if you have thick mucus, right? So that's always very helpful. Again, there are a couple of them. I call seaweed. There's marshmallow. Licorice is another one that you can use. Licorice root. Of course, you want to make sure that you're not using licorice root beyond about 7 days because licorice root can cause elevated uh, blood pressure. So you want to be very wary of that, right? That's just a little bit of a precaution for those of you who are leading to what licorice. And licorice is good though. If you don't have an issue with blood pressure so much, licorice is good because it's a good source of additional iron. So if you suffer from anemia or low levels of iron in the blood, licorice can be helpful for that. And I'll show you just a little bit of licorice here. They look the same, right? They have the same look about them. And I think that's just because of, how they chopped up. All right. Still waiting. Sister Kashia says dandelion roots. Dandelion roots is more of an expector, actually. Um, but I want to hear what those three are. I'll share them again then, since I don't hear any movement in the chat about that. We're looking at demulcents, those herbs that are aromatic, and also those herbs that are expector, right? And so those that create a lot of mucilage and they're thick and soothing. Um, this is licorice. You can see it looks very similar to marshmallow if you think about it, but there's that it's darker and there's a yellow, um, almost like a yellow tint to it. All right, so I have this one and make me want to keep. Um, can someone type the question in the chat? The volume is slightly low on my end. Let me see if I could adjust my volume. Maybe there is the volume very low because I think I know why it's low. Just give me 1 second. I'm back. All right. Is the volume much better now? Is it as low as it was before, or is it improved? Has it improved? Not very low, just a little low and choppy. It could very well be me. Well, just let me know if it's gotten better because I think there was a little bit of a hiccup. All right, good. So we were going through a list of demulcents that you can use to help. All right, great. Greetings, Benubi. Greetings to Sister Kashia and Chief Yu. I'm greeting everybody again because I feel like I don't know why I'm greeting everybody again, but thank you all. I'm saying it with my chest. Okay. Where am I supposed to say it from? My mouth or my throat? I don't know. All right. So corn silk is another one that you want to consider. And corn silk is exactly what you're thinking. You're probably saying, what corn silk? Is there something else? No. Have you ever, well, depending on where you are, you probably have not encountered corn just growing on the stalk. But if you've ever encountered corn growing on the stalk, at the very tip of the corn, there's always these long threads hanging off. And I know sometimes when we buy them in the store, we see some of it, but many times the corn silk is gone by the time the corn gets to the store or the markets, right? That corn silk is actually helpful. Soak it in a little bit of warm water and it becomes thick, and you can drink that liquid to help to ease coughing or to help to ease respiratory blockages, right? Due to build up of mucus or the drying of the throat or the drying. Yeah. So, all right, good. Feeling brand new. All right. Good. Peace, Sham the Joy. Greetings. All right. So this is going good. Plantain is another herb that I wanted to share. Plantain is actually very interesting. Plantain can be used dry, but I actually prefer to use it for this purpose, green. And for those of you who live on the East Coast, it's very easy to walk out to the street and find plantain growing. And I'm not suggesting that you go harvest any or go, but you can go foraging, right? If you go foraging for berries and other things while maybe you're hiking or you have some wilderness near you, and if you're a sister, of course you're making sure you have a chaperone or you're going with some protection, and you're not just walking out there alone. But if you are a forager, plantain is very easy to spot. I wish I had a picture to show you all, but the leaves are not very similar to the structure of the leaves of maybe mint and so on. Is very elongated and flat, very similar to dandelion, but it doesn't have those scalloped edges. All right. And plantain tend to grow flat as well, whereas dandelion grow very masculine plant. It grows all the way, like it's growing toward the sun, right? For those of you who do like warrior pose, it grows toward the sun. Plantain the leaves tend to flatten out a little bit. All right. So again, plantain is another one. If you have plantain growing around you, you can harvest some and dry them and keep them so that they're, like they're ready to use. But again, like I said, I actually prefer to use the green. Violet is another plant, the flower, the leaves that can be used again to create that soothing effect. If you're having problems with breathing, you're labored breathing, you really want to pay attention to creating warm decoctions out of some of the herbs that I shared. Another one that I really want to suggest is hibiscus. Hibiscus, I use hibiscus in a couple of my elixirs and decoctions and just making tea. And if you leave it for a little, it starts to get thick. You see it thicken up. You're like, wait. At first it looked like iced tea, but now it has this thick consistency to it. So it is very soothing if you are going through the first or the beginning stages of a cold or a flu. That's a strategic time to use hibiscus. And when I say hibiscus, I'm actually referring to what we call in the Caribbean sorrel. All right. Now, hibiscus, the plant or the flower can also be used in that way, but I'm also referring to the sorrel, sorrel, not the green plant. And I mean, sorrel has it's a brush as well too, but not the green plant that's used as used in salads and so on. I'm actually talking about the sorrel with the red bell-like fruit. Okay, that's the sorrel I'm speaking of, or it's also called hibiscus. Let me just jump into the chat real quick. Sister Kashia says, I use my picture this app to identify plants and things in my surroundings. Yes, very good. And Google Lens has another Google Lens is a great one too. I remember many like years ago when I would go hiking and I would get so frustrated because I can't figure out what's growing around me. And I used to download all of these apps and so on, and sometimes just long PDFs where I have to look for the picture and try to identify the name. So things have changed so much. So picture this is an excellent application for that. And Google Lens can work as well too. Sham the Joy says, can I sprinkle plantain on my fried plantain? You could sprinkle you could sprinkle plantain on your fried plantain. The problem is though, it don't balance out because the fried plantain will actually increase mucus in the system. So it don't work, right? It's not gonna work. Putting plantain on top of fried plantain, no, it's not gonna work. No, and I know sometimes when I say plantain, most people think plantain, the fruit that looks like a banana. But when I speak of plantain, I'm speaking about a green bush, again, that's very similar to um, it grows similarly to dandelion, very similar in shape. The leaves are elongated, but they're very the edges of the leaves are very, straight. They're not scalloped. Um, you can't, you will, they're very, if you are accustomed to seeing culantro grow, it looks like culantro. But it's not culantro because it doesn't smell like culantro. Culantro is, yeah, it'll take over your whole everything because it's so strong. Plantain is not that strong. All right. No plantain on your fried plantain. Fried plantain is good though. Oh gosh, I know the last time though. I do not know the last time, but I digress. I digress. um, so I didn't want to skip mullein. So I have on my website, I actually have a couple of blogs where I speak about, one of them in particular is Fortified Family. And Fortified Family actually gives you a list of a few of some of the herbs that I'm talking about today, but it goes into a bit more detail as to how to use them and how to create tinctures and steams and other things for the family. And I go into a little bit more information on mullein in that blog. So feel free, go to the website, look for the blog. It's a part of the podcast that I've created. And so you can find the blog and read it. Most times the blog has so much more links and backlinks. And I always link to Chief Yuya's information because there's just a plethora of, helpful tips and lots of direction there. So feel free to jump on in the blog and learn a little bit more about mullein from the blog, right? It's called Fortified Family. Fortified. You might see some familiar faces there too if you go over there. All right. So greetings, Kwanda Campbell. Greetings, Sister Kwanda. Peace and welcome. Mullein is amazing. So is lobelia. Lobelia it is. Now, because if you are creating this kit for your use and for your family, right? You want to make sure that you're not using strong herbs, right? Some of these herbs can be strong. Lobelia tends to be, it's not something that I would select particularly for this purpose because it can be strong. So, but lobelia is definitely good. It is a demulcent. It will thicken and soothe the passageways, right? Now, aromatics is actually the second group of herbs or food medicine that I wanted to share about very quickly because they can be spicy, they can be very strong, right? And you probably have a couple ideas of
some of the herbs or the food medicines that you're probably very familiar, not probably, you are familiar with, that are considered aromatic because of the fact that they are strong in smell. They're very volatile. And volatile meaning they have volatile oils in them. So if I boil them, well, I can't boil them, because if I boil them, then all of the medicine in the oil kind of dissipates. So you don't want that, right? When we say something like an oil is volatile, it means that under extreme heat, it will just, you know, diffuse very quickly, very easily, and you won't get to capture the energy of the oil. And so with aromatics, you want that. And some of them are, list a few of them in the chat. A few herbs that you think are very strong, a few herbs that are very strong in smell. Their oils can be overpowering, but they also tend to heal, soothe, and even clear up and open up the chest, right? I think that's very easy. I'm smelling the licorice, y'all. The licorice root is so good as a tea. Just, make it, make it. Um, those molecules that we smell actually help to stimulate the GI tract, and they help to stimulate the respiratory. So because of that, you will find that if you steam them, a matter of fact, if you take the leaves and you just rub them together, they begin to stimulate healing already. They start clearing up the passageways very easily. Yes, yes, y'all have it. Very easy, very simple. Peppermint, eucalyptus, ginger, very good. So those are our aromatics, right? And again, you want to make sure that lemongrass, there you go. Lemongrass is another excellent one. Um, of course, you want to make sure that your lemongrass is not too old. If it's too old, it's dried up and the oils have already, they're gone. They got about their business already. You can't, you won't be able to use it. So all right. Let me jump in the chat. Brother Antonio says, have to sign off. Peace all. Peace and power to you all. If you have to jump off, I understand. But this information is here for you. Feel free to jump on in. Anise is another one. Anise I really like. Anise is very easy to use, but because it's hardy, the seed part is hardy, you want to make sure that you boil anise, but you don't want a rolling boil. Okay, so if you're going to use it, but it has to boil because it's hardy, but you don't want a rolling boil because that's gonna, cause all of the beautiful oils to just evaporate. Um, Fenugreek is another. Fennel can be used as well, fresh or dried. You know, and I'm probably going back and forth about these, but I'm gonna say this: some of the food medicines that I'm sharing can be used if you're juicing. So don't plantains can be used juiced and used to soothe the passageways and to open up your respiratory. Okay. Um, Fennel can be used fresh. The fresh fennel bulb can be juiced with pineapple. Onions are another one. Onions are on the pungent side, but let me tell you something about onions blended with one garlic and raw honey. Listen, nobody can touch you for the winter. Nobody. Add some apples to it and you're good to go. The children will gulp it down, but also it creates again the opening of the respiratory, and it soothes the dry coughs, right? um Benu B says she was going to say anise, lovely for tea, especially with rosemary. There you go. And even rosemary can be considered an aromatic. That can be used for this purpose. So stock up on these herbs, but I'm sure if you go right now, nobody, no, it's true. Nobody, nobody's gonna want to touch you. That's true. That's true. But anyway, you could still boast and say, yeah, you can't touch me. You can't even touch this. Not you can't touch this homestead. You can't touch this home. We have things on lock right now. Anyway. A few others are garlic, and I mentioned garlic and onions juiced, and you add some raw honey to that and you let it sit. And you can take that once a strong or maybe every day, depending on what's going on with the family member. Those are always helpful. Everyone will smell you. This is true, but here's the thing. If you're taking charcoal and if you're taking chlorophyll, they'll smell you, but the chlorophyll and charcoal will actually help to offset some of that smell, right? It will actually help to offset that smell. And hey, maybe maybe you don't want those people around you. That's the truth. If they're fussing because you smell, maybe they just need to take a step back. I don't know. Nobody. I will try that mix. Yes. So try these and let me know how they work. Don't wait until the last moment. It is fall, but as you see, the year went by so quickly. This season is moving pretty fast. So you want to make sure you have all of those items stocked up and ready to go. So if there's anything happening. And you probably haven't heard me mention things like echinacea and golden seal. You can put those in your cabinet, but the objective here is to actually show you how you can use herbs that you already have at home to support your system. All right. Just make sure you're not using, 5-year-old spearmint and 5-year-old peppermint and things like that. Especially if you just had it sitting out and it wasn't preserved properly or vacuum sealed or sitting in the fridge where it can be preserved. So I think those things are important. The last thing I wanted to talk about was what we call expectorants. So an expectorant has a specific purpose. It actually helps to get rid of mucus. It expels mucus from the system. And those are I think these three are important to think about, because you can combine an expectorant and an aromatic, or you can combine an aromatic with demulcent to so that they work in different ways, right? And the aromatics actually help because they help to open up the chest and open up the nostrils if there are blockages, while the demulcent helps to soothe any irritation if you have like dry coughing or your throat is dry and so on. Um, yeah, funny. So the two expectorants that I'll share today, one is mullein. Mullein is also considered a demulcent as well. So it's both demulcent and expectorant at the same time. So you probably see a lot of people with mullein in their medicine cabinet because it just works wonders. It is best to use mullein toward the beginning or the onset of colds or flu or cough. Um, but sometimes it's not as helpful in the middle, you know. I was gonna say something. Let me not. So mullein and elecampane. All right. Elecampane root is what you want to use. So make sure if you are looking for it, because you want to add it to the medicine cabinet, you are not looking for stems or leaves, because people will sell you jacked up stuff. You're looking for root, root. All right. So that's it. That's it for our share today. I wanted to get into more, but that's okay. It is 1:17, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want our midday motivations to be just that, just a little bit of motivation to get you moving, get you going, and to give you what you need. Please, these times are challenging, but we can all step up to the challenge, right? Elbow grease, soul, and just focus, focusing on what's important, and some laughter too, right, Kwanda? She's laughing over there. Yes, everyone will smell you. That was funny. That is funny. But yeah, in this time where there's a seasonal shift, but also to compound that, there we have, everything else going around and all the variants people talking about. The one thing I'm gonna say is you can't go wrong if you include elderberry in any of your protocols. I'm serious when I say it is a fortifier. It Let me know if you can still see me and hear me. It is a fortifier. It will help as an expectorant. It's not an aromatic, but if you take it with raw honey and you add other things to it, um, maybe even like black pepper to it and cloves and things like that, and you really simmer it down, that can help. We have elderberry on our website, so for those of you who are listening to this later on and you're looking for something because maybe you don't want to invest in grabbing up all these things, we got you. Our elderberry elixir actually helps to support your system. It helps to open up the respiratory. It helps to build the immune system. And if your body does encounter a virus, elderberry has this beautiful ability to reduce the replication of the virus in the system, in your body system. So it helps to put it on pause, and that helps you to rebuild your immune system. So wellness is yours. Hold on to it. I'm holding on to my wellness dearly. Hold on to yours as much as you can. Leave a comment in the chat to improve our, like just our engagement, so the algorithm could kind of see us and say, oh, she doing something over there. All right. And share the video with any and everyone you could think about. I appreciate you all. There's this funny thing that's going around that says, to all the 12 people who constantly like my videos, do you need anything at the gas station? If you need anything, holla at me. Peace, power to you all. Wisdom, wellness is yours. Thank you, Chief Yuya, again, for giving us as much as we need, right? As much as we need to be in the space and to share and to be of service to our community. Peace, y'all.